The chapter opened with breaking news announcing that the Korean Hunter Association had officially appointed Woo Jin-chul as the new chairman. Upon seeing the broadcast, Gina reacted with surprise. She recalled hearing rumors that the former chairman had been murdered, but she never expected Woo Jin-chul to take his place. Looking out the window, she muttered that not only was the country in chaos, but so was the entire world. Turning her gaze back inside, she saw her mother washing the dishes. Gina quietly approached, wrapped her arms around her mother from behind, and leaned against her shoulder. Her mother, without pausing her task, told her that if she had free time, she could at least throw out the food waste. Gina lazily replied that she was too tired to do even that. A brief silence followed before Gina suddenly spoke. "Mom, let's move." Her mother glanced at her in surprise, but Gina nodded firmly. Her mother smiled faintly and admitted she still liked their old house. Gina, however, looked puzzled. "What's so great about this rundown apartment?" she asked. "It's old," her mother replied softly, "but I prefer it here." Unable to argue, Gina fell silent, though her expression carried a trace of sadness. Her mother then brightened, cheerfully reminding her daughter to at least fold the laundry, calling her a sweet daughter. Gina sighed, muttering that she only ever got called sweet when chores were involved. She opened the laundry room door to retrieve the clothes, but froze when something outside the window caught her eye. Alarmed, she immediately called for her mother. The scene shifted to the front of the Ajin Guild office, where reporters and crowds had gathered in large numbers. Two men conversed within the crowd. "Are the rumors true? Is he really visiting the Ajin Guild right now?" one asked. "Yes, apparently so," the other replied. The first shook his head in disbelief. "I can't believe it. Thomas Andre is inside the office." Inside the guild office, Thomas Andre stood tall, his overwhelming presence filling the room. Seated nearby was Jinwoo, who wore a forced smile as beads of sweat dripped down his face. The guild staff were equally stunned to see such a legendary figure in their office. Their shock only deepened when they realized Lennart Nierman, Germany's strongest hunter and ranked 12th in the Federal Bureau's global rankings, had also arrived. Panicked, Jinwoo desperately tried to reach Jinwoo by phone, but every call went unanswered. Meanwhile, Thomas Andre looked amused, a faint smile on his lips, as though he were growing impatient. Jinwoo's thoughts raced. "Where are you, sir? Please, pick up the call." Even Lennart was astonished. If even Thomas Andre had come here to meet Jinwoo, it spoke volumes about Sung Jinwoo's growing influence. Lennart himself wondered if he might finally get the chance to meet Korea's strongest hunter. Thomas suddenly spoke. Through his assistant Laura's translation, he asked if Sung Jinwoo was perhaps in the middle of a raid, since he didn't seem to frequent his office often. A flustered Jinwoo stammered, "Ah yes, probably." Just then, the office door swung open. Sung Jinwoo entered. Relief washed over the guild staff, and Jinwoo burst into tears of joy. Thomas Andre greeted him with a wave, while Jinwoo quickly grasped why the press had gathered outside. It wasn't because of him, but because of Thomas Andre's presence, and the powerful aura radiating from the American hunter confirmed it. Jinwoo hurried over, asked Jinwoo for ignoring his calls. Jinwoo casually replied that he had been a little busy. His tattered clothes explained the rest. Gates had been spawning rapidly across the country, leaving him little time to rest. Quietly, he also noted that both Beru and Igris were nearing their next ranks. Thomas then stepped forward. "It's been a while, Mr. Sung," he said warmly. Jinwoo, tense, thought to himself, "They're not going to fight here, are they?" Jinwoo calmly asked why Thomas had come to Korea. Thomas reminded him of their earlier promise, to share a meal once his arm had healed. He added that he had brought a very special gift. Jinwoo wondered at the word gift, but Thomas insisted they speak elsewhere, saying it was too dangerous to hand it over inside the guild. Jinwoo grew suspicious, thinking it might be a trap, while Jinwoo considered what Thomas could possibly mean by dangerous. Before continuing, Jinwoo asked about the other hunter in the room. Lennart stepped forward and introduced himself. Jinwoo considered whether he might be one of the hunters requesting protection, but Thomas abruptly cut the introduction short. "Shall we get going, Mr. Sung?" Thomas pressed, ignoring Lennart. When Lennart protested, saying he had waited 2 hours for the chance to meet Jinwoo, Thomas's eyes gleamed with a terrifying glow. His refusal was blunt. "No, what we will discuss is top secret. There's no room for you." Leonard clenched his fists, seething at the humiliation. He had never been treated so dismissively before, but he could do nothing. With that, Thomas led Jinwoo away. Later, they sat across from each other at a restaurant, with several agents and Thomas's assistant Laura standing nearby. Snapping his fingers, Thomas ordered a long briefcase to be placed on the table. Jinwoo narrowed his eyes. "What is this?" Thomas explained that this was his way of repaying Jinwoo for sparing the lives of his guild members. Opening the case, he revealed 2 crimson daggers, their edges shimmering with raw power. Jinwoo's eyes widened in shock. "Kamish?" Thomas grinned. "Impressive. You recognized them at a single glance." Jinwoo asked in disbelief whether Kamish remains were still not in the Bureau's possession. Thomas explained that the U.S. government had wanted them to hand over the carcass, so they eventually surrendered it, seeing greater value in other opportunities. The largest fong, which had once pierced Thomas himself, was given to him as a keepsake. Too short to be crafted into a sword, he instead reforged it into a pair of daggers. Who knew that decision would pay off in spades? Thomas chuckled. "They're yours now." Jinwoo's system immediately registered the weapons, Kamish Wrath. Each dagger carried an attack boost of plus 1,500, crafted from the sharpest fong of a dragon by a master craftsman. Their sharpness was unmatched, their mana sensitivity exceptional, and their true potential would scale with their wielder's power. Jinwoo was astonished. Jinwoo marveled. He had always believed the Demon King's daggers were powerful, but compared to these, they were nothing. Testing them, he flipped the blades skillfully in his hands, the red aura flaring as if responding to him directly. Thomas quickly stopped him. "Careful. Even with reinforcement, you might cut me in half. You're not planning on killing me with the gift I just gave you, are you?" He joked nervously. The aura grew darker and stronger, as though greeting Jinwoo as its rightful master. The agents and Laura were left speechless at the sight. Thomas turned to his assistant. "Still think giving this to him was a mistake?" Laura, unable to find her voice, only shook her head. Thomas looked back to Jinwoo. "So, do you like them?" Jinwoo hesitated. "Are you sure I can accept them for free?" "Free." Thomas laughed. "These daggers are a cheap price to pay for the lives of my guild members. Consider it settled." Jinwoo finally nodded. "Then I'll gladly accept." Thomas smiled broadly. But before their conversation could continue, both men suddenly stiffened. A powerful disturbance filled the air. "Did you feel that just now?" Thomas asked. Jinwoo nodded grimly. Outside, crowds of people stared upward, their faces pale with fear. Is this what Dr. Belzer mentioned during the conference? The magic energy gathering above the skies. Jinwoo thought. Thomas removed his sunglasses, staring in disbelief. Above Seoul, the sky rippled with an enormous purple vortex. Could this really be larger than the one Kamish emerged from? He muttered. The chapter ended with his grim question. Are we now dealing with forces beyond comprehension? The chapter opened with people in the streets of Seoul staring up at the sky, unease written across their faces. Many held up their phones, recording the enormous gate that loomed over the city like a second sky. A reporter's voice echoed in the broadcast. Above me is a gate that has completely covered the skies of Seoul. According to our sources, this is the largest gate to appear since the dawn of the magical beasts. As you can see, countless residents have come outside to witness this phenomenon, but not a single one looks relieved. The man signed off with a grim tone. This is Nick Powell, reporting for BBN. The scene shifted to Dr. Belzer, seated in a global conference meeting. He addressed the panel with a grave expression. As I warned earlier, we have detected a massive concentration of mana accumulating in the skies. What we are witnessing over Seoul is only the beginning. From here on, we can expect to see gates of this terrifying scale appearing in other countries as well. A committee member then asked, are you suggesting that this unusual activity has already been observed in other parts of the world? Dr. Belzer nodded. Precisely. That is the point I wish to emphasize. Another official asked, given your experience researching gates and magical beasts, what would be the wisest way to respond to this situation? The room fell silent as Dr. Belzer paused, then uttered only a single, chilling answer. We must pray. Pray that this unprecedented event does not end in tragedy. Meanwhile, in Seoul, Jinwoo rode atop Kaisel, soaring toward the massive purple gate that blanketed the city. As he drew near, something felt off. Despite his proximity, he could not enter. It's as if some invisible wall is blocking me, he thought. If it had been an ordinary barrier, he would have smashed through it, but this was different. A gate that an awakened being cannot enter? Then are the beasts inside different from anything I've faced before? He glanced down at the sprawling city below. His family, his friends, and everyone he cared for were there. Whatever lay within the gate, he had no intention of letting it run loose. His phone vibrated. The caller ID showed Woo Jinchul. "Can you hear me? Your voice keeps cutting out," Jinchul said. Jinwoo replied, "No need to call back. I'm somewhere high up right now. By the way, shouldn't I start calling you chairman from now on?" Jinchul chuckled softly. "Call me whatever you like. Honestly, I still feel awkward about this promotion. It's more than I deserve." Jinwoo's tone grew serious. "Were you able to look into what I asked about?" "Yes. I reached out to hunter management agencies in several countries. We had them run satellite scans, but not a single new gate has spawned anywhere else in the world." Jinwoo froze. "Are you saying that aside from this enormous gate, not one new gate has appeared?" "That's correct," Jinchul confirmed. Jinwoo frowned. "It's been 3 hours since this gate emerged. What are the odds that every gate across the globe would vanish at the exact same time?" He muttered to himself, "This isn't just a coincidence." Jinchul continued, "Our plan is to begin evacuating civilians near the gate, then proceed step by step to minimize the chaos. What about you, Mr. Sung? What's your plan?" Though Jinwoo could not predict what tomorrow would bring, his answer was firm. "Someone has to plant the apple tree." With that, he ended the call, his gaze never leaving the ominous gate above him. The scene shifted to the Hunter Association Gymnasium, where Jinwoo sparred with Beru. The Ant King unleashed a flurry of strikes, each faster than the last, but Jinwoo dodged them with effortless precision. When Beru lunged for a crushing blow, Jinwoo simply leaned aside, then caught his wrist mid-swing. The clash stopped instantly. Beru looked up, eyes wide. Jinwoo asked calmly, "Are you really giving it your all?" The shadow ant yanked his hand free and dropped to one knee. "My king, how could I possibly?" "It's fine," Jinwoo reassured him. "I just wanted to break a sweat. And you're the only one who can help me do that." Deeply moved, Beru bowed even lower. "Your words, they honor me beyond measure." Jinwoo smirked. "Your vocabulary is growing every day. You didn't eat another human, did you?" "Anyway, let's get started," he said, his body igniting with a purple aura. Beru let out a piercing screech, his claws carving deep scars into the floor, showing his level that had reached its maximum. With explosive speed, he launched at Jinwoo again. The strike gouged the ground, but Jinwoo had already moved. Punches, claws, and slashes rained down, each blocked, parried, or dodged with casual ease. "Pretty strong now, aren't you? Especially as commander," Jinwoo remarked, countering with a blow to Beru's stomach. But in any army, there can only be one commander. Once Igris and Greed become generals, they'll catch up to you in no time. So if you don't want to lose your position, you'd better try harder. Beru's rage flared, and he unleashed a relentless barrage. Explosions rattled the gym, but still Jinwoo held his ground. To him, Beru, the strongest of his soldiers, was still far from strong enough to face the enemies yet to come. Jinwoo seized Beru's arm and slammed it into the floor, immobilizing him before delivering a crushing blow to his side. Beru's body was hurled across the room, crashing into the wall and leaving it cracked and smoking. Kneeling before his king, Beru gasped, "My king, I, your lowly servant, am left in awe of your almighty power." Jinwoo sighed. "You really need to lay off those historical dramas." Beru lowered his head, silent, a trace of sorrow in his eyes as he healed himself. Glancing at the devastation, Jinwoo muttered, "Well, now that the test is over, I'd better clean up this mess." Later, he reported to Chairman Woo, explaining, "I still have about 300 ants to handle the cleanup, so..." The chapter then shifted to a luxury hotel in Seoul, where Thomas Andre and his assistant, Laura, were staying. "Do you plan to stay here long?" Laura asked. "How could I leave behind something so big and beautiful?" Thomas replied, staring out the window at the colossal gate. Laura raised a brow. "It's certainly big, but beautiful." Thomas grinned. "Anything that makes the heart race is beautiful. A fire-breathing dragon, that massive gate, Sung Jinwoo's power, They're all things of beauty. And I've always wanted everything beautiful for myself. Laura scoffed softly. Looks like there's finally something you can't have, Mr. Andre. Thomas chuckled. I didn't think that was possible. Still, what's the point of going home when no new gates are spawning anywhere else? The Bureau may be worried, but really, what's there to fear? The safest place in the world right now is by Sung Jinwoo's side. Besides, if this gate isn't stopped, there won't be anything left to worry about. His gaze returned to the sky, wine glass in hand, the enormous gate reflected in his eyes. I want to see for myself, he murmured, whether this will be the end of mankind or the beginning of something new. The chapter began with the bustling streets of Seoul, filled with people rushing to evacuate. Car horns blared endlessly as long lines of vehicles clogged the roads, leaving the streets in complete chaos. The scene then shifted to Jinwoo's home. Gina asked their mother if they should also evacuate. Their mother calmly replied, well, if this place turns into a war zone, wouldn't it be better for us to choose where we die? Besides, the houses in this district haven't been ordered to evacuate. Gina protested, saying that she would be entering college next year, that she would soon be old enough to drink, and that she wanted to move out and enjoy her college life. With frustration in her voice, she added, I don't want to die just when my life is about to start. Her mother gave a small smile and admitted she had a point, then reassured her daughter. Jinwoo will protect us, just like your father once did. The perspective then moved to the rooftop of a tall building where Jinwoo sat alone, deep in thought. Even now, he could not sense the presence of the Monarchs. He wondered where they might be hiding. His eyes drifted toward the massive dungeon gate, and he reminded himself that he was the one who had to stop it. But even if he did, could he truly achieve victory without sacrifices? Jinwoo reflected that he now had so much to protect. If this was indeed the end, who should he spend his last moments with? He opened his phone and scrolled through his contacts, his family, his guild, the association, and other allied guilds. As he scrolled further, he came across the list of his friends. The scene then shifted to a dojo where Hunter Cha Hae-In was training. Her coach, Mr. Song, told her to stop, saying that he had sensed hesitation in her movements lately. I can tell by the tip of your sword, he said, concerned that fear had taken root in her heart. He added with a chuckle, but I suppose it's only natural. Even I'm terrified. Though, I can't be sure if the monsters I once faced compare to the ones that cost me my arm. Just then, Hae-In's phone vibrated. Mr. Song noticed her glance and apologized for rambling, urging her to answer. A hunter should always answer their phone, he said warmly. Hae-In gave an apologetic smile before taking the call. Her face turned serious as she listened. Moments later, she bowed to her coach. Something came up. I have to go, she said. Mr. Song nodded with understanding. Of course, go right ahead. As she left, he smiled to himself. I see. I may have gotten a little carried away. The story shifted again, this time to an amusement park. People gasped in surprise as they recognized the man walking through the crowd. Wait, isn't that Sung Jinwoo? One whispered. Whoa, it really is him, another exclaimed. A few murmured in shock upon realizing that the woman beside him was Cha Hae-In from the Hunters Guild. Jinwoo, surprised by the crowd, had expected the park to be nearly empty considering the ongoing crisis, yet it was quietly packed. Hae-In, on the other hand, looked flustered and shy under the attention. She asked Jinwoo if he liked amusement parks. He admitted, not particularly, but I always wanted to come here at least once. When she asked why he had chosen her, he smiled. Because you're my only friend. Startled, Hae-In froze as Jinwoo gently asked if she remembered what she had once said in front of that strange statue. Hae-In recalled the time she told the statue, I'm a friend who's here to rescue him. Remembering those words made her blush furiously. Embarrassed, she stammered, You heard that? Jinwoo chuckled. Yeah, I have better hearing than most. Hae-In quickly changed the subject, asking what was inside that strange dungeon. Jinwoo replied that he would explain it another time, once he had sorted everything out himself. As they walked, Hae-In suddenly noticed Jinwoo's shadows blocking people who tried to approach them. She asked, Don't you think this is attracting even more attention? Jinwoo smirked. It's fine, as long as they can't bother us. Hae-In thought to herself that it had been 2 years since she became a hunter, and she couldn't remember the last time she went out just for fun. Her heart felt unusually light. Being with Jinwoo felt different, and he had a special scent. Then Jinwoo pointed toward a ride. Do you want to try that one? Hae-In smiled and agreed. He pointed at another and another, asking if she liked them all. She laughed softly and answered, yes, every single one. Jinwoo realized with a smile that she, too, wanted to be there. All right then, let's go for a ride. The two spent the afternoon riding the roller coaster, the drop tower, and even a haunted house. Yet through every ride, their faces remained calm and unreadable, while the other passengers screamed in terror. Afterward, as they sat down to eat, Jinwoo asked if she wasn't having fun. Hae-In quickly replied, no, I am. A lot of fun. She slurped her drink, but Jinwoo eyed her curiously. You didn't scream even once. Were the rides too slow for an S-rank hunter? Caught off guard, Hae-In admitted shyly, yeah. Jinwoo then smiles and asked, then how about we ride something truly thrilling? Her eyes widened in surprise at his words. The next moment, the sky above blazed with radiant colors, warm yellows, pinks, and pale oranges. A mighty beast soared upward, carrying them into the heavens. It was Kaisel, Jinwoo's majestic mount. The brilliant sky, painted with light and clouds, seemed to stretch infinitely. Smiling, Jinwoo asked, what do you think? All was written across Hae-In's face. We're so high up, and it's beautiful, she whispered, gazing at the breathtaking view that filled her with both wonder and serenity. She then asked why Jinwoo chose to visit the amusement park when he could experience something like this. He answered quietly, the gate where my father went missing spawned at that park. That's why I wanted to visit it. Hae-In thanked him earnestly, confessing that she had received so much help from him. Jinwoo smiled and said there was still something else he wanted to show her. The scene transitioned from a bustling construction site at sunset to a soft, pink-tinted sky, and finally to a clear, star-filled night. Jinwoo and Hae-In sat on the grass, gazing up at the countless stars above. Hae-In's face was full of wonder as she turned to Jinwoo with a shy, genuine smile. The chapter ended with a shooting star streaking across the night sky. In its glow, their silhouettes were shown. Cha Hae-In leaning gently against Sung Jinwoo beneath the stars.